Welcome back, everybody, to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. I am making a video today to continue a process that I began quite some time ago when I was attempting to rescue a Kenmore 158.1941 multi-stitch sewing machine from circa 1975. Now, many of you have seen a lot of my videos on these machines. You know that it is one of my favorite multi-stitch machines from this era. And it is one of the last great all-metal machines ever made and for consumer use. Now, when I began this, I picked up the machine. Someone said, oh, yeah, you can take it. We can't get it to run. Well, that can be caused by any number of things. Well, this machine, for those of you who've been following this saga, know that someone did something very foolish. They put heavy grease into the machine. Imagine if you took grease and put it into a Swiss watch, right? Sewing machines generally are meant to have sewing machine oil, and that's all they require. There are a few exceptions, and I've shown these in my videos. If it's a very old vintage sewing machine motor, and these are very specific. These are to the old white rotary motors. They were also used on Kenmore machines, but not this era Kenmore. Don't confuse them. Remember, Kenmore machines were sourced from different manufacturers over the history of Sears. And of course, there are some vintage Singer sewing machine motors that have very specific places, and only certain kinds of motors require grease. The vast majority of sewing machines do not require grease at all. They require regular oiling. Whoever put grease in this machine, unfortunately, made it very difficult to undo that. And I have made multiple attempts. Let me, if I zoom in here, you will see some of the parts that I had taken off the Kenmore in order to get ready to submerge it in kerosene. So I purchased 2 gallons of kerosene. I have a nice, it's actually an old plastic toolbox, which makes a perfect immersion tub that is perfectly sized for sewing machines, at least the ones that I work on. So I gave it a week submerged in kerosene, and I did 1 week with the upper upper drivetrain, the part that is, I'll show you in a moment. And then, of course, the lower down here that you see. And in spite of that, I have basically been able to turn it slightly. But unfortunately, if I were to reassemble all of the parts into this machine, I am stuck with the same situation. Now, many of you know I don't particularly care for kerosene, and I really do not. But I gave it a try, and I was able to do it outdoors because we just finished with our summer. And I thought I'll give it one last go. Now, some people might say, well, you should try something else. There may be other things. There are even stronger solvents than kerosene. There's gasoline, but I'm not willing to do it. I'm not willing to play with gasoline to remove the grease. So, again, is it possible to save this machine? It could be, but what I have decided to do is to salvage this machine. Now, let me turn this up, and I'll show you, to give you an idea. You probably wonder, well, what does it look like now that he's soaked it? Well, basically, it looks just like it did before I put it into the kerosene. I thought kerosene would really work. I've tried scrubbing it, and you can see even here, it didn't even remove the grease. And I think this grease that was in here was old, and it had gotten, I don't know if it was exposed to heat or years of sitting, whatever it was. The grease has become like a cement. And again, you all have seen me when I got the machine nice and hot. I would use a heat gun, and then I would put certain penetrant oils in, and finally get it to run, and it would run. I could actually get it to rev. But as soon as the machine cooled, obviously, we know what happens. It goes back. It's almost like the grease thickens again. And so I have decided to salvage the machine. Now, what does that mean? That means I am not going to be bringing this machine back to operation order. And if you've watched my channel for a long time, you know that there aren't very many machines I haven't been willing to try and somehow get to a point where I could salvage them. However, I am making a series of videos for machines I cannot salvage. Now, you might be thinking, oh, this is a shame. You've waited so long and you tried. That's true, but I wanted you to see this because for those of you who have machines, please, let's say you have this machine or you have a chance of buying one or you've inherited one and you want to restore it. There are many videos I've got online showing you that they are wonderful machines and they are very forgiving. But in this case, this is the first Kenmore 1941 that I have not been able to rescue. Now, there is a silver lining here, and I want to explain this to you because you're probably thinking, "Oh no, this is horrible." Well, keep something in mind. As the years go by, sometimes you'll have a machine that's working great, but a part breaks, and you need one. Well, you need to find a part. Now, with some machines, particularly, I'm going to mention a lot of the Singer straight stitch machines that were in production for decades. You can often get many, not all, but many reproduction parts. Sometimes the quality of the reproduction parts isn't quite what Singer had, but good enough, right? Perfect is the enemy of good enough. And those parts allow those machines to be restored and to continue operation on a generational basis. It's hard to believe things were made this way once upon a time. Now, sometimes either a part is not reproduced, and that's true for many vintage sewing machines. And if it's not reproduced, you've got to find a vintage part. I have had a number of sewing machines over the years that I have restored, and I could not have restored them if it were not for original salvaged parts. Now, you can find these parts in different places. You can find them on eBay, on Etsy. I've had particularly good luck in the past, I haven't gone lately, looking for vintage sewing machine parts on bonanza.com. There are sellers who will sell you a part. In fact, they take machines that are either not running or something's wrong with them, and they just disassemble them. They literally disassemble them and sell the parts. And that's a business model for them. And I'm really grateful for that. So what I am suggesting to you here is that even though it may seem sad, oh no, you couldn't save this one. No. But remember, sometimes if you have to salvage a machine, this is particularly true for those of you who restore machines, right? So let's suppose you got one of these and you're not a sewing machine restorer, right? Because if you are, I have drawers and boxes of parts for different machines that I keep. So when because they don't take that much room to store. And then I can always have them, and that's helped me in the past. However, if let's say you say, well, I'm not a sewing machine restorer. I just want to save my Kenmore or save my whatever the brand is. What you can do, let's say you get one of these, and what if you had picked this one up like I did? And you're like, oh no, I heard so many great things. This guy on YouTube's talking about Kenmores, these wonderful Japanese-made Kenmores, and mine's a dud. It won't work, and now I have to. Do not throw this away. Okay? What can you do? I've already taken, as you can see, lots of the parts off because I did that to be able to soak it in the kerosene, because some of these parts, particularly the motor and the electricals, would have been damaged in a really bad way. So if you're not a sewing machine restorer and you say, well, what good are these parts to me? You may not need these parts because vintage sewing machines they can break, but they don't break easily. But let's say you find someone like myself who restores sewing machines. You can actually go to them and say, hey, how much are you asking for your machine? Let's say they want $200 for this restore, just making that number up. You can go to them and say, hey, I have some vintage parts. Would you mind taking, it might not be a huge amount, but would you mind taking maybe a slightly lower price and some parts? And they might say yes, right? Or again, throwing parts like these away is something you don't want to do. And I highly encourage you to not do that if at all possible. And again, you can say, you know what, I don't fix these machines. I don't want to be bothered. Well, you know what? You don't even have to take the parts off. You can simply take the machine, or you could take it, if not to a sewing machine restorer. There are still shops here in North America, and I think other parts of the world, that repair sewing machines. They're often paired with vacuum cleaners for some reason. They're called vacuum sewing shops often. And what you can do is you can go to them and say, hey, you know, I can't use this machine. Maybe you can fix it. If you can't, could you use the parts? And they might say yes. And what does that do? That means that other sewing machines do not go into the landfill because they couldn't find parts for them, right? And that's because I've got another video coming up on a machine that's wonderful, but I can't find parts for it. I mean, I can't. I have yet to find the parts for it. And so it may end up being yet another salvage. So anyway, many of you saw I've made videos of me taking parts off to get this machine ready. So what am I going to do? I'm going to continue that. Let's take a look and see what we've got. What do we have? What else could we salvage that I have not yet already taken off this machine? Well, notice I've got a tension assembly, right? Well, why is that useful? You don't even see the full assembly. Parts of it have come off. I've taken them off. But there are parts. Look at this check spring, right? There's a check spring here, and it's in great shape. Well, I don't want to have to hunt for a check spring if I get a Kenmore like this machine that needs a good, maybe, you know, check springs are strong, but occasionally people abuse them and they break. Well, now I've got one, right? Now I've got a couple of extra parts here. So that's one of the things I'm going to salvage, and I'm going to show you all in this video how we remove some of these parts. There's an access screw right here. I have a door here. Now you can say, well, you know, the door's kind of scratched, the paint doesn't look nice. So what? It's a good door, it has a good hinge, and I've got little screws here that I'm going to take that out with, right? So I'm going to disassemble. Many of you have seen me assemble or put parts back to a machine, but now I'm going to show you how can you disassemble to salvage parts. I've got a wonderful set of feed dogs here, right? I've got, now I've already taken the race cover and the hook, and obviously there's no bobbin case here. Well, what about this piece? Maybe I can take, now this is the hook itself, but what about these pieces? Notice that these are, these little pieces that lock in the race, they're metal screws here, but they're plastic. What if you have one that breaks? What if I get another Kenmore that has one, but oh, it's missing? Well, now I have one. So I wanted all of you to see this because remember, there are times when, you know, especially, you know, this is not a machine that was particularly rare. You know, it doesn't, you know, there's not a museum necessarily looking for one of these. Maybe they already have them. I've come across enough of these so that I really know, I know that in the end, being able to remove parts from a machine can help me save other machines that I can't get a part for that are in much better shape than this one, right? And I need to be able to fix those to keep them going. So think of this as you know, this machine here is going to take one for the team. You know, it's going to give up its parts so that other Kenmores like this can keep running. Because the fact is, you cannot get every single part. In fact, many of these parts are not in reproduction. You can get belts, you can certainly get bobbin cases, but there are things on this machine that, you know, you can't get. So why not hold on to them? Because, you know, I'll be looking for more of these machines. It is one of my favorite multi-stitchers. So with that said, I've already been yapping about 14 minutes here. So in the next video, you're going to see me continue the disassembly process. But I wanted to kind of just give you a little insight as to why is he doing this? Why is he giving up? There are times when it's best to invest your time as a sewing machine restorer in harvesting parts that you know you're going to need potentially again. And instead of trying to find them, because they're not always easy to find, you can have them right here. Thank you for watching, everyone, and stay tuned as we disassemble everything that is valuable, that is potentially valuable for this machine, and we'll see you in the next video.